really, Peter, you're a politician, and as a politician it might be instructive to you to see some hot air actually achieving some tangible results. And as a Shadow Minister of Defence, you probably should know what to do when the balloon goes up. So he reluctantly accepted, and we got up and had an absolutely sensational experience. The first time I've ever been hot air ballooning. I've been since. It really is just the most marvellous experience, and so we're looking forward to Rick introducing our guest speaker to talk about it.
Thanks, Michael. It gives me great pleasure to introduce David Parks. David and his wife Lorraine owned and operated Balloon Down Under on the Gold Coast for 18 years. Desire to travel meant selling the business in 2006 and moving to Cappadocia in Turkey, a world-renowned ballooning area. They have lived there for 9 months a year for the past 5 years. Hey, that sounds pretty good. And have purchased a 50% share in a cave hotel while still flying balloons over the area. David Parks.
Thank you. Very good. Good morning. Thank you very much. Yeah, we good? I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I've been able to transfer or change my my hobby from into my living, and I did that started doing that about 30 years ago. So I've been doing it for a while. Yeah, we had a company on the Gold Coast for 18 years, Down Under, and 5 years ago it was just time to sell it and move because we could. The kids had moved, and we were self-sufficient. We wanted to travel. As a balloonist, I was already aware of Cappadocia in Turkey. Is that going to bring up my map? Is it? What am I doing? Thank you. As a balloonist, Cappadocia, Turkey is probably was well known to me. It's probably the premier ballooning area in the world, and it's because of the terrain. You'll see in a minute. It is.
Got a red pointer there.
I've got a point.
There's a red one in the middle.
Yeah, look at that. Here's Kayseri. Kayseri is the international airport I fly into, and Cappadocia is right there. So it's geographically right in the centre of Turkey. It's 1,000 metres above sea level because of its altitude and because it's so far inland, away from the oceans. It's very, very gentle weather-wise. So we can fly there about 330 days a year, which is pretty amazing. The boys are still flying at the moment in winter. The company I work for, which is Royal Balloons, is a year-round operation. A couple of them aren't because in winter it does get very cold there. I flew till the 30th of December was my last flight before I came home for my summer break, and on that morning it was minus 15 up in Balloons. It was snowing very heavily, and it's still snowing. They told me it's still snowing yesterday. So they've had their whitest winter, I think, that any of the boys can remember. But it's still stunning to fly in this area even in winter. Hey. If I had 8 hours, I could tell you more about this area. It's you have to see it to believe it. It's historically one of the most significant areas in the world. We think of Egypt, we think of Greece, we think of Rome when we're talking history. Unless you put Turkey into that group, you're not even touching the sides. I visited a painting in a cave house there. In the middle of last year. It's been predated or dated back to 9000 BC. So we really are talking some amazing history. The area was very famous and very important as a Christian refuge in the 7th, 8th, and 9th centuries. Hence all these cave houses and holes in the ground. These are every cliff, every hill you see. Incorporates these. They were housing for the people. They were sanctuaries against invasion. One of my favourite underground cities, a place called Derinkayu, is a little hole in the ground, like that. But when you go down into it, it's 12 stories deep, and in its day in the 7th and 8th century when they were using it, was housing up to 20,000 people. For anywhere up to a year, so it's these were quite significant underground high rises. I get have the enjoyment every day of flying over it, that's me. The other thing that makes this area so beautiful to fly and so important is because it's a volcanic area, and being volcanic, it was very fertile, so it's very important for an agricultural area for the early Turks. It was also being volcanic with different rocks of hard and soft. They formed all these amazing valleys and chasms that you're going to see, and that's why initially it became a ballooning area, because it's a bit like the mini Grand Canyon, and it's over a huge area. It's just beautiful to fly over. With gentle weather, we don't only fly over it, we actually can fly through it and up and down the valleys. Yeah, that says it all. That white rock that we're looking at here is the predominant rock in the area. It's called tufa. It's a combination of volcanic sand, ash and mud. Because it's so soft, it's eroded very quickly, formed all these amazing and very fertile valleys. You can see vineyard, all the grapevines, all these little dots here. There's tomatoes and spring onions and shallots and capsicums, all sorts of things being grown there, with wine probably being one of the most dominant crops in the area. When I first went there 5 years ago, there was 40 balloons flying in the area, and we thought that was busy. When I left last year, there was 106 on the flying at the end of the season. The main season is summer, and it runs from April till the 1st of December. So pretty much every day between 1st of April, 1st of December, there's 100 balloons flying every morning. And now there's probably 30 or 40 flying through the winter. Stunning. Grapes, all these little dots, all grapevines all the way through. This is Göreme. Göreme is probably one of the more significant towns in the area. I think I've got a shot of that later on. The balloons are carrying, average are carrying 16 to 20 people. So they're probably a little bit bigger than the balloons we fly here. Of course, it's a money game, so the bigger balloons, the more people we can get in. Obviously, you work it out, though, 20 passengers per balloon and 100 balloons per morning, it's quite a significant industry for the area. Oops, oh yeah. Some of the old, some of the old the housing that's through all the rocks. Amazing. So the inside of that is basically a hollow with a series of stairs going up through all the different rooms. The reason they're exposing, of course, is because of the erosion. So in the 10th century when these were around, they weren't visible, of course. They were just little windows, and then they've just slowly eroded away. So erosion there is, of course, an ongoing thing. One of the more famous valleys in the area is Love Valley. These amazing, the locals do call it Honeymoon Valley. And a friend of mine was here from Australia to give you an indication of the size of these things. Just created by erosion. You can actually see the line, the lines of the different rocks and different materials that have created these. And then on the top we have a basalt head on them, which is a harder rock. So all this is eroding away from underneath. This one here has lost its basalt head, and I guess in another million years these ones will probably go as well. You can see the all there. The old and now the new. There's a friend of mine who's building a hotel over there. This is not the one I'm involved in. We're about 100 yards away from this. The tourism industry, you just can't describe over there. It's just so big. It's massive. Last year there was people on our balloon that were staying 100 kilometres away in Aksaray, because that was the closest hotel they could get to the area. So the tourism there is just going ballistic every year, and every year it just gets bigger.